Okay, hello everyone, welcome to Inda 80s, and it's not often that you get the chance to speak man-to-man with a real Electron gaming legend, and Kevin Edwards popped in. So the first thing that we did was we got talking to him about Gala Force. Gala Force is a game which he wrote when he was a mere slip of a lad, I guess. Tell us about how you actually had the programming skills to put together something like this when most people were able to print their name on the screen.
I was probably very fortunate that when I was doing my O-levels at school, I bought my own computer, which in those days was a NASCOM computer, one of the kit computers of the day, which was Z80 based, which gave me the skills to learn programming. So I spent probably a year or two working on that, and then the school started with the Commodore PET, which was the chosen computer in those days, before the BBC Micro.
You must have been well ahead of people in the computer club at school, though, surely.
I don't know. Lots of people were quite enthusiastic, but probably not as much as a handful of us. There's a few people, core people, who were very interested in programming, and games were obviously the big hook. Certainly on Commodore PET was this amazing space in there.
And was that in some way inspiration for this?
Not for Gala Force, no. Okay, not for Gala Force itself, but certainly it was a hook. Oh, this programming could be actually quite fun.
You wrote some other things as well. You wrote Crazy Rider,
yes,
and you started work on a sort of Super Mario Brothers style platform game called Amnesia.
Oh yes.
Which came first?
Amnesia was much later on. That was a title that really didn't get off the ground. That was one of the what I call prototypes, more of a technology prototype, just to prove that I could.
And from the other two, Crazy Rider and
Crazy Rider. Actually, that Crazy Rider was a product that we created. Myself and Richard Hanson at Superior were discussing what do people want? What would be a great game for them? Overdrive had been a huge success for them, but it didn't have coins that moved. It was just a straight road with animated side strips, which was a bit dull, really. And the idea was that we could do something with Moving Road. So I worked on the tech to do Moving Road. It had to work on the Electron, it was the key thing. It was for Electron on BBC Micro. So it was done on the road.
I see. And did we answer which came first? Was it Gala Force or was it Crazy Rider?
Gala Force was definitely first.
Gala Force was first. It was your very first professionally released game? What was your first one?
Atomic Protector was the first published title in 1983 on the BBC Micro, which was a Pac-Man style game, but in reverse. You had to protect the dots from these alien objects that were whizzing around the maze. So you had like a barrier that you could drop in certain parts of the maze and bounce them away. So it was sort of inspired by Pac-Man, I suppose, but turned on its head.
Going back to Gala Force, any particular sort of tips and tricks that you might have? Anything that isn't immediately obvious to the casual player that's hidden in there?
No, there's nothing. It's a very simplistic game. It's obviously influenced by Galaga, without a doubt. It's got elements of Galaga and also Star Force.
Okay, well, I think that was a great brief resume of Gala Force and its history. Thanks for joining us, and see you all soon.